Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mark Loeffler Experience. We got another great show here for you today. We got Kellan James from London, Ontario. Kellan is a real estate investor. He was a YouTuber for a while. I don't know, he's on and off on
I'm hoping
that.
to get back into it, yeah.
It's hard to be consistent, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Anyways, thanks everybody who's new to the channel over the last couple of days. We've got about 100 new subscribers. So please comment down below, introduce yourself, let us know where you're investing, where you're from. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. And in today's session, we're going to be talking about finding off-market deals. This is obviously a quick way to wealth, right?
Yeah, well, in like the last 3 years, basically, most of my portfolio has been purchased off market. The occasional deal will be on market, but on market stuff is generally something that's been sitting for a real long time and it's a little quirky and you find a way around it, or you just happen to get in really early, throw in a bully offer and you get it done. But in general these days, for me at least, 90% off market is kind of the way to go.
Well, and other than I'd say my best deal ever, I'm pretty much off market as well. In the multifamily world, not a lot even hits the market. Now it's listed with a realtor typically, like everything I'm buying.
Yeah.
So I'm working with another realtor or something yet.
Pocket listings.
My best deal ever was on market though, and I probably could have flipped it for $500,000 that afternoon.
Wow. A wholesale.
Yeah.
That would have been nice.
Yeah, well, it would have been nice, but I've doubled, it went from 2.2 million to 4.4 million.
Yeah.
So
and you refied it, I guess?
I just refinanced and pulled out that $500,000 anyways, but 2 years later.
Yeah. So. Beautiful.
Yeah. All right. So, I know how I get my off-market deals, and it's a little bit different than probably yourself. So that's why I'm super interested in finding out. And you deal mainly in smaller stuff, so 2 to 6 units, right?
Yeah.
Whereas I'm buying 20 units plus.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't think it's that different, to be honest. 2 to 6 units has kind of been what I've been focusing on. There's a variety of ways to do it, but mainly, obviously people always say networking is a big thing, but I think the main thing for, in terms of networking for off-market deals, it's not going to be with other investors generally, I find, because those investors want the deals too. So it's hey, I'm looking for a deal. Everyone's like, well, so is everyone else. I don't really care. So I think, honestly, one of the biggest things is establishing yourself as a confident buyer and a competent buyer. So if someone has a lineup of people coming at them I'd like to buy your property, and you establish yourself as someone who's just going to get it done, and you don't really ask a million questions and that kind of thing, you're going to be the one to snag it up. Because I find these days off-market deals, especially if it's on Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace or something, it's not even really off-market, it's just off MLS. But it's on a whole different market with a lineup of other buyers.
Well, for instance, there was a 35-unit building transacted in Hamilton last week. And there were 12 people toured it that day.
Yeah.
We were one of 2 offers because we came in quick. And the other person got it because they went firm.
Yeah, right.
They had a 5 business day condition for walkthrough of all units, and basically the seller said, hey, I'll give you $50,000 off if you go firm, and they said, okay.
Yeah, these days people just want, especially people in that position, people who are selling off their portfolio, they're done with headaches, so the last thing they want is a lineup of people with a million questions. You post a deal on any Facebook group that was I'm looking to sell my property, and you get 100 replies, everyone's got their email address, and it's I don't feel like dealing with this. Who's just going to give me what I want and be done with it? So make their life simple is the big thing.
Right. I'll sell a 9-unit building to anybody right now for 2.25 million, but just don't ask any questions, because I'm being lazy and not putting the numbers together to actually market it. So
people with these kind of properties, they value their time. So the less of it you can take, the better.
Yeah. All right. So what your number one source is networking. Is that
that would be at a high level. So I do a lot. I focus a lot. So first off, I'm only buying in London, Ontario at this point, and generally I'm actually focusing on a couple of specific neighborhoods in London as well. So really honed in on what I want, and I know that there are multifamily properties in those neighborhoods. So I'm talking to local contractors, talking to the pest control guy, I'm talking to property managers in the area. I'm knocking on doors and getting to know everybody, getting everyone's phone number. I'm keeping an eye on rental ads. I'm in touch with anyone I can be in the neighborhood and staying in touch with them. And like a lot of these people, the only reason they'd want to stay in touch with you is if you have some value to provide them. So, hey, look, I don't want to sell my house right now, but I'll hang on to your number. But how are they going to remember who you are? Like, how are you going to float to the top of their list? So like remaining top of mind is a huge thing. I mean, it's huge on any social media platform, but it's the same with a deal. Like, I have a deal. Who should I send this to? And when I have a deal that I don't want for myself, I think, who's a competent buyer out there? And like 5 names pop to the top of my head, and it's like, well, I'm going to send it to those people before I even post it, because I don't want to hear what everyone else has to say.
And that's all my I want to be that one of those 5 guys.
Yeah.
I want to be one of those 5 guys, and you just send me the deal, and I look at it. If they know me and they know it's in my wheelhouse, I just say yes, and as soon as I say yes, they know the deal's done.
Exactly. And giving a quick no. People don't want their time wasted either. It's like, hey, like, is this a deal for me? You just go, you look at it. It really doesn't seem like it's going to fit your numbers. You just say, look, this isn't for me. I really appreciate you passing it along. I'm good for a quick no. I always tell people that when I'm happy to give them a quick no often within 10 minutes, so they're not wasting their time, and they're happy to throw it at me the next time too.
And that's a little bit becoming a market expert too, right? Because I know I get buildings thrown at me all the time in Hamilton, and I'm like, well, listen, you know that I sold that to that seller, or I was involved like 3 sellers ago or something, and to be honest with you, it doesn't suit like what I'm buying right now, right?
Yeah. And like, otherwise, like offering finder's fees, like there's not a whole lot of silver bullets in this world. I think like it's about just consistently talking to people and remaining top of mind and staying and following up with them. But like offering finder's fees is another way to incentivize people to remember you. So if it's a tenant, you maybe offer them $1,000 if they get you in touch with their landlord or property manager. Maybe when you get in touch with the property manager, they have to have a reason to pass you along to the landlord, because it's kind of their job is so that the tenants can't get through to the landlord. They're the middleman. So why are they going to let you through? Well, maybe because you're willing to offer the property manager a fee. So maybe you say, I'll give you $2,500 if you get me in touch with the owner, and if I end up buying the property, I'll toss you an e-transfer. And that's the same case for any other deals that come up in the future, or if this same owner owns other buildings and I end up buying those, you get another fee for each of those. And I've had property managers say, like, I've had 5 people reach out because they post a rental ad and everyone reaches out on the rental ad, and they said, I offered it, I'm talking to you because you offered me the money. And like, you sound like you're a nice person, and they're happy to work with you in that way.
And then once you do one deal with them, and that you give them money and they know you can close, and you give a quick yes or no, then it's going to be, hey, got this other one. Is this for you? Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like for property managers, you always have to put yourself in their perspective. If that's a property that they're managing, they're getting fees for every month, and they're not really going to want to pass along to you unless you're going to take them on as a manager. So maybe in that case, you say, look, I'll take you on as my manager for a while, or sometimes in the past I've done this and I just pay them a fee the same way, and they're happy to, because maybe they're done with dealing with that property anyway. It's a headache property,
Well, I know some of the other investors I know. One of the things they go in the bin guys.
The bin.
The junk removal
Definitely.
guys. Like, so they'll offer them, like, the guys at the truck, the owner, whoever. They'll be like, hey, there's money for everybody. You find me the hoarder house.
Yeah, one of mine recently was my junk guy. Like, I use the same guy all the time to grab all the junk from my properties, and he's like, saw for sale by owner sign, and I was like, well, I already knew about that property, but thank you for the reminder, because I wasn't following up on it. I ended up buying it, and a couple months later when I had closed on it or something, I was like, hey, by the way, in that case it was $1,000, and he was like, oh, sweet, like I didn't know you ended up buying that place, and then he had work there too, so.
There you go.
Yeah. So
you mentioned like door knocking. Like, so what do you do in that regard?
Yeah. So a lot of times with multifamily, unfortunately, you're talking to the tenant when you knock on a door of these properties. So that's a bit tough. If it's a duplex, maybe you're lucky enough to get in touch with, a live-in landlord, they're renting up the other side or something. But trying to get through the tenants is the real challenge. So, first off, the main thing that stops people from doing door knocking is they're just really not comfortable with the concept. So you kind of just got to push through that and knock on the first door and just say, hey, I'm trying to buy a property for myself in the area. There's really not a lot sitting on the MLS right now. I was wondering if you happen to know anyone in the area that might be looking to sell their property. And if you're lucky enough, they'll put you in touch with their landlord. A lot of times they'll just point at a sign down the road and say, oh, that one's for sale. And you go, I don't want anything on the MLS. Like, it has to be off market.
Or my line was always, yeah, we've looked at that one. It doesn't really fit our needs yet. We love the neighborhood, and we want to be in the neighborhood yet. You know, we can't. That one just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, just getting comfortable with that conversation and just knocking on as many doors as you can, getting used to some rejection. It's just part of the game. But if you say to yourself, look, I want to find, like, there's no deals out there. Like, anyone can door knock at any time. You can leave your house right now or after work, go home and start knocking on doors in your neighborhood and just get used to it. Like, once you've knocked on 10 doors, you've experienced all types of people. The people who are just going to close the door on you, the people who are, want to just talk your ear off. But you kind of get used to it. You get more comfortable with it pretty quickly.
For sure. And some of the best times to door knock are when it's in a blizzard or like pouring down rain, because people will actually invite you in and like actually have a conversation with you, right?
Yeah.
All right. So door knocking. You mentioned staying in touch with these people. Yeah. Because, I mean, that's key, right? Like, you're not going to knock on somebody's door. Well, it might happen 1 out of 1,000 where they're like, yeah, I want to sell. Like, come in, like, do the deal right now, right? Yeah. And you're like, oh, okay, great. But, I mean, obviously the magic's in the follow-up, right? The money's in the follow-up.
Yeah. And, like, so any leads that you think you have, you got to document it somewhere, whether you have some kind of a database or, customer management system, or just adding them to your phone. But yeah, following up with them is really important. I think that, like, as much as follow-up is important, I think just understanding that it's just sheer scale that really gets deals done. So how are wholesalers doing it, right? They're sending out tens of thousands of flyers a month. So the more doors you knock on, the better chance you're going to have of getting a deal. So, following up, very important, but also just continuing to knock on more doors or reach out to more people. That's really the key, is just sheer scale, like exposing yourself to as many people as you can. In a good way. Yeah. In a good way. Oh, yeah. Don't just walk around naked. Oh, right? Yeah. Not streaking. And we buy houses. Well, I mean, there was a guy who used to sit on the corner of King and Sherman, I think, in Hamilton in a Big Bird suit saying, I buy houses. That's awesome. And like, he was on news all the time, and like, wow. And was it him, or did he hire someone to do that? I mean, after I think a couple deals, he actually hired somebody to do it. That's great. But I mean, like, you think about it, and the amount of traffic that goes through there. I mean, there must be 100,000 cars a day going through there, right? Like, it's high volume, right? And I love that. It's super interesting. I mean, all through this time, I mean, bandit signs. Yeah. People have used a lot of letters. I mean, if you know Ron LeGrand, do you know Ron? Oh, he used to do the yellow letter campaign. Oh, yeah. You see people sending out the letters, I buy houses, cheap, quick, or not cheap, but now people are getting 4 of those on their like in their mailbox every week. Yeah, so it's how do you differentiate yourself? And then, obviously a lot of people, you can do Facebook ads, you can do, I mean, it's the same as in real estate, right? Yeah. Like, it's just, where can you attract their attention? And then once you have their attention, how do you? Yeah. And there's so much value in finding these yourself. I mean, of course, get connected with wholesalers, see what kind of deals are out there, but like, the more of the deals you can actually find yourself, the better, because you're not in line with a bunch of other people. You don't have to pay the fee. If you don't end up wanting to close on the deal, you can wholesale it, like the whole, like, buy the best, wholesale the rest mentality. So these days, like, I'm trying to buy 6 units and up. And so if I'm coming across 2, 3, 4 unit buildings, then I might be a little more likely to wholesale it. So, having this consistent flow of deals, and like, and then, not necessarily keeping them all, wholesaling them off, or, if there's ever a deal that you don't necessarily want, there's always still a way to make money with that deal. Like, just start passing it around to people. Well, any tips or tricks that you would give yourself when you started? Yeah, that's a good question. Or how about this? You have 0 money, you have no properties. What's the first thing you would do tomorrow? Like, what I would probably do is just, I would start looking, like, I would do the same thing that I did when I started. I bought a duplex, and if I didn't have any money, then more than likely, a lot of people would try and go the JV route first off, but I would probably just try and borrow the 5% down that you need for that property, let it sit in your account for 90 days so that you have the 90-day history ready for the bank, and then put 5% down on the first property. And then I would do a purchase plus improvements mortgage, and I would try and get some of that money back out of the property, pay off the private loan, and now you're living for free. And that's kind of a really great foundation, right? All of a sudden, you don't have a mortgage to pay, you're living for free. Kind of a good situation to start in. Yeah, so you house hack. Yeah, live in one half, rent the other.
Yep.
Eventually,
maybe get a roommate or whatever.
It'd be amazing, right? Yeah. If you have a 2-bedroom, you know, you're renting one side for, I don't know, in London, maybe $1,100-$1,400, and the other side, you're living in one bedroom, renting out the other bedroom. Like, you're making money every month. Like,
well, for sure. And to be honest with you, that's how I didn't get a purchase plus. But what I did was I got a cashback mortgage. So I did 5% and 3.5% cash back on my first deal. And so I think I was in a $230,000 property for like $6,000 with land transfer and everything, right?
Amazing.
Like, and then I did all the work myself, which I don't do anymore. But I mean, that's the thing, sweat equity, right?
Oh yeah. It was the same. I didn't do, like, this is why I didn't actually do, on my first one, I bought a duplex, but I didn't do the purchase plus. So looking back, that's what I'd recommend for people to do. That's
good advice.
Yeah, and same thing, renovated myself. You know, first tenants I ever had, they didn't pay their rent. So that was my introduction to landlording. Eventually I had to evict them, move over to the other side once I renovated this one, and you know, typical, really nice way to start though.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much. Hopefully you guys learned something from that today. If you have, check out the other videos, subscribe, smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. Thanks everyone.